FTT Exchange. I am your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 108 of the FTT Exchange. And well, pretty big week, pretty big day as well, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, pretty big week upcoming, and a pretty solid week we had coming back. Won't be too long of an episode, I say that, and then you'll be here for another 50 minutes with me. But, we'll see. Shouldn't be too long, I don't have that many topics, so this could be a brief episode. I don't know if it's going to be 20 minutes, but we'll see what I can do. But yeah, pretty big week upcoming. Of course, college football is back. Technically, college football is already back, but we will not talk about what happened in that FAU Charlotte game, as it pains me. I'm just going to fast forward to Friday. We had some stuff happen in combat sports in the kind of creator circle. We also had plenty of stuff happening in the Premier League, and of course some stuff happening in entertainment as always. So as always, if you want to skip ahead to either that soccer segment or the entertainment segment, feel free, as timestamps are in the description as always. Everything you're looking for is in the description, along with all of my social medias. And as always, and you guys went absolutely ballistic on the last episode, by the way, so appreciate that. Hadn't seen numbers like that in a minute. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And without further ado, let's talk, because I did a thing, it appears. I do 100 episodes of this thing. I guess it starts to pay off a little bit. But I am in one of the biggest sports publications in the world this week. As you could probably know by the time this is up, if you are getting this from my IG story or any of my social medias, I am featured along with the rest of my fellow interns and members of the Difference Makers Fellowship on behalf of Sports Biz Camps. I am in Sports Business Journal this week, so if you want to read more about what I was doing at 2311 Racing, which again, gracious for the opportunity, if you want to read more about that, I will include that link in the description. And just go check out Sports Business Journal if you're into sports and you want to see what's happening kind of off the field. There is no better. They're not paying me to say this, but there is really no better publication. It is an absolute treat. So if you can find a way to get your hands on the subscription, I would highly advise it. The people there are great. Abe, Reg, Molly, everybody, Jawan, my friend that was the intern that worked there and also wrote the article for us. They did a great job. And this is such a great publication, and yeah, honored. First time in SBJ, really big deal. And like I said, eternally grateful. Hopefully not the last time I'm in SBJ, but definitely cool. First I guess national publication I've ever been kind of featured in, so that's dope. But yeah, once again, thank you to SBJ and the team for featuring me and the rest of my fellows. So yeah, huge announcement there. That's probably everywhere, but yeah, super grateful. Said that already. Let's start. Yeah, let's talk about what actually happened in sports and not just my accomplishments, even though it's always nice to highlight yourself when something major happens. But we will talk combat sports. And not in the sense that we had anything major happen in normal, I guess, boxing, even though I guess this is technically, it's creator boxing, but nonetheless. And nothing really happened in MMA, so I don't really have anything to talk about in MMA. So we're not even going to call this combat sports. We'll call it boxing. Alright, we'll just say it's boxing this week. KSI returned to the ring, yes, after he got his rap career, really, honestly, respectfully, got it off. He got it off the floor. Not that it was on the floor, that's a weird way of saying that. It's not me. But he kind of made a little bit of breakthrough. JJ, regardless of what you thought about the actual quality of the songs, he's, in this kind of past 2 years, he's made a lot of developments there. So, shout out to JJ. One of the first people I ever definitely connected to on YouTube, especially as a kid. So, yeah, cool to see KSI kind of wherever he's gone and see the Simon just kind of develop. But KSI returned to the boxing ring as he headlined his own event at I believe the O2 it was, in London. Faced two opponents. The first one was Swarmz, who clearly didn't train. I think he was on 2 weeks notice and was running for his life. JJ made quick word of him. And then the professional boxer, who I'm not even going to give the privilege of naming him on this show, also he made quick work of. Honestly, JJ looked a lot better. He came in much better shape than either of the Logan fights. He looked better. Now, the quality of opponent wasn't anything special, But I will say JJ just looked better. He looked better technically, not that he was some technical marvel, but he also just looked like he was in better shape. It looked like he had gotten better. Now, of course, the super fight that is on everybody's mind between any type of YouTubers or creators is, of course, Jake versus JJ. I don't know if JJ has quite caught up to where he'll be ready for Jake in a year. Not that Jake Paul is some type of boxing marvel, because he is absolutely not, and that is with all due respect to Jake. He is putting in the work, but he is not him yet. He's not him yet. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be in 3 years either, but again, we'll see. Yeah, I think he's supposed to make a big announcement this coming week about possibly a fight in October, so we'll be on the lookout for that. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, KSI, he looked better. In the co-main event, Slim knocked out Temper, which is not what I was expecting. I didn't know Slim had hands like that, but with all due respect, apparently Slim does have hands like that. Showed off some decent technique. Temper never really got a rhythm. And yeah, Slim is just better. Good knockouts. Salt Poppy was probably the most entertaining person on the card. Very impressive performance from him and who else? I think it was Dez. Yeah, him and Dez definitely had, no, Dean. Him and Dean the GOAT definitely were probably, alongside I guess technically JJ, the most impressive boxers. They both look like they had some type of kind of amateurs. There's some type of, combat sports background. And we're actually pretty decent. Of course, Salt Poppy had that vicious knockout. Dean also had a great knockout, but also tried to do a backflip thinking he was Teofimo Lopez. Unfortunately, Dean the GOAT is not Teofimo Lopez, and he landed almost on his neck, breaking it. But he ended up alright, laughed it off, but embarrassing moment after a highlight moment. Deji also finally got a win. He faced Fuzi, and Fuzi did not belong in a boxing ring. But you know what? Deji looked better. I will give Deji that. And you know what? I'm happy for the kid. I'm happy for Deji. He's been taking all these L's. Now, do I think he has a future in this? Absolutely not. Is he probably going to do it again? Absolutely yes. Will I watch? Absolutely yes. So I guess it is what it is. But you know what? I'm happy for Deji. I'm happy that he got that win. He needed it. He's been going through a lot these past couple of years. And really, I think it's also been him kind of living in his brother's shadow a little bit, in KSI's shadow. Not trying to say that in any token of offense. In his own right, he's become a hell of a creator, has millions and millions of followers that absolutely love Deji. But of course, JJ is one of the biggest in Britain and really one of the biggest creators in the world. So growing up and being in that same space, in that kind of shadow of your brother, can't always have been the healthiest thing mentally. Not that it's anybody's fault. And I think that's transpired also on the internet. So it's just kind of like a full circle moment. We saw JJ very, very happy for Deji. So yeah, I'm happy for Deji. Happy he got the win. If this is what he wants to keep doing, he's free to keep doing it. But yeah, I don't think he should just hop and think he's going to be, this big deal. But, he's free to do it. Happy for the man. And that is boxing. Like I said, nothing too crazy, nothing too long. In fact, we're just going to go, we've sandwiched combat sports, or what should I say, boxing and soccer around the entertainment segment. Because a lot of this is probably going to be me talking about the entertainment segment. Before, so of course, I talk about House of the Dragon. In the last episode, we will talk about Harley Quinn, as always. It's just a great show, man. It's a great show. I actually did not watch it last week. I had to wait till after or right before House of the Dragon came on is when I got to it. No, actually I watched it after. Yeah, I watched it after House of the Dragon because I went to my HBO Max app and I was like, how did I miss the last episode of Harley Quinn? But anyways, yeah, Harley and Babs team back up as Bruce, of course, as we saw, had Phil. We had to retrieve Phil. So yeah, some way we had to extract Bruce. Babs and Harley, we saw their kind of relationship go up and down. Matt Hatter was the featured villain. He was hilarious. And just kind of everything going through with that. They got a great little dynamic that they've kind of built. And like I said, and I've said this before about the show, I love the way they've incorporated the Bat family into the show while maintaining that it's still about Harley and Ivy and King Shark, who was featured prominently with him giving the throne over to his brother, but then his brother trying to make a deal with Ocean Master and everything that happened there, and he had to kill his brother. Just that was absolutely insane. But yeah, and then of course Selena dealing with Ivy. Bruce is still down bad for Selena, but they were able to capture Bruce, so we'll see what happens in the next episode. But again, another great episode from Harley Quinn, one of the better shows I would say on television. Now let's talk about the best show on television. The best show on television. And once again, it belongs to a George R.R. Martin property or writing. And that, of course, is House of the Dragon. We had episode 2 last night. I put off so many. I had a fantasy draft going on at the same time as this. So I put off on some of those picks. Probably wasn't the most efficient drafter. I'm not that impressed with my team, to be honest, because I was also watching House of the Dragon. I also put off a party for this because I did not want to miss this show. And it was with good reason because it was another great episode. Rhaenyra is a G. Alright, she's a G. She's a G right now. She's being painted like a G. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil too much of what's going to happen actually in the story. But yeah, she's been a G. Up to this point, she's been a G. I'm sure Emma Darcy will do a fine job as Rhaenyra when we get to these time jumps, which I think is coming next episode. But my goodness, and I tweeted this out, Millie Alcock is her. Alright, she is her. She is her. She is up next. She is up next. And really you could say up now. I am so used to seeing her. She's such a great actress. Such a great young actress. Such a great young actress. It's going to be weird not seeing her as Rhaenyra, but good luck to Emma. Corlys, Wilden. I don't know what is up with the fathers of Westeros, but they are not it. They are not it right now. Pimping, why is everybody, listen, it's the game. The game is still here. It's still here. Everybody trying to pimp their daughters, their very, very young daughters, out to the king for political power is just grimy. But you know what? The Sea Snake teaming up with Daemon at the end is going to be very interesting to see what happens there. As they said, they are the second sons. So we will see what happens there as they take on the crab. What else? Daemon and Masara. Daemon is a menace. We said this last episode. We're going to say this throughout. The Rogue Prince, he's a menace. All right, he's a menace. Came up with all those lies, did all that capping. Just to pull a stunt to give Viserys his brother's attention. Rhaenyra came through on Caraxes and shut all that down. But yeah, he just, had to be Daemon. Daemon's going to be Daemon. It's going to be very interesting. He's going to be one of probably a lot of people's favorite characters. He's just probably, in the books by himself, he's one of a lot of people's favorite character because of how great he is. I think he's actually George R. R. Martin's favorite Targaryen, fun fact. So yeah, the Rogue Prince being the Rogue Prince. Viserys and Alicent, of course, that was the big news at the end of the episode. Alicent will be becoming her best friend's stepmother. Neither party took that too well. But, yeah, we kind of saw it coming. Viserys obviously is not going to marry the 12-year-old because he looked disgusted by that prospect. Alicent, I don't know how much romantically he's into Alicent, but in terms of, honestly, even though it's not the smartest thing tactically, from a heart perspective, it's probably best because she's at least been a friend to him, and I think that's kind of where his standpoint is. Listen, Viserys is a good man. He's a solid man. He's not a perfect man. He's a solid, I dare say, good man. In another life, if he's not king, he is perfectly fine. Unfortunately, he is king, and as a result, he is not a great king because he keeps making these decisions. I get the feeling he doesn't really want to be a king. If him and Daemon were switched out, I think they'd be perfectly fine. Daemon wants to be king. If he was king, he'd be ruthless, doing all that. Do the stuff I guess you'd expect of a king in Westeros. Viserys, on the other hand, just wants to chill and play with his trains and create stuff. He's not built for this life, and I think we're showing more and more cracks. Also, Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, that kind of like back and forth, those hospitalities between the two queens that, or at least the one queen that never was, and the queen to be, was very, very interesting, and just kind of the contrast, the perspectives there, and youth and experience. So, yeah, just another great episode, man. It's the best show on telly. If you're not watching, what are you doing with your life? Once again, GOT has so much great lore. They can go on forever. They can really go on forever. It's a treat, the world that George R. R. Martin has built. So yeah, shout out to the GOAT, because he's got another fantastic show on his hands. Now sliding over to music, J.I.D. or J, whatever you want to call him, dropped The Forever Story, his new album. It was gas, okay? Goodness gracious. I'm about to give out this might be my third 9 in 4 weeks. Which is crazy because I think right before that is when somebody said that music has been mid this year. And then we've had 3 straight, pretty much, album of the year contenders on my behalf. In my opinion. Because this was once again a fantastic album. Now, this score could be subject to change because I have not gotten around to that second listen. But off of first listen, boy oh boy did he deliver. Standout tracks for me just off of the first listen: Crack Sandwich, Money. But I could have named an array of tracks off of this album. If you are not listening to it, go listen to it. I'm going to just give it a preliminary 9.2. Could go higher. Even higher than a 9.2. It could stay at a 9.2. I don't see it dropping below maybe a 9, maybe an 8.9, 8.8, depending on how some of these age. But I'm going to stick with a 9.2. Yeah. We'll go with that because he's so uber talented. The hype is warranted. The hype around J.I.D is absolutely warranted, undisputably. He's just uber talented, probably one of the best out, if not one of the best out, soon to be one of the best out. Fantastic album, The Forever Story, go check that out, and just treat yourself with that. Jay-Z, God did. I'm not even going to talk about the rest of Khaled's album. Respectfully, I didn't really listen to it in full. He did have about 40 features, so there was plenty of material, and he marketed the hell out of it, as always. He's a pretty solid marketer. I will give Khaled that. Apparently, Jay-Z had verse of the year. Actually, I heard it. I don't know why I said he did. He had arguably one of the best verses of his career, which is insane because he's, again, one of the greatest to ever live, to ever touch a microphone. Still in year whatever, 25 now is in year 30, whatever it is of Jay-Z's career, still delivered one of his best verses of all time, and God did. In fact, Jay-Z did, and that's all I really need to say about that. Go listen to that song. I don't need to say too much. Hov did Hov things on that track. It reminded everybody why he is considered by some to be the greatest rapper to ever live. Also, in music to finish off here, all of the Migos of course, they've had a lot of stuff going on. They all dropped the little things. I think Quavo and Takeoff dropped another track I didn't get around to. But I did get around to the Offset and Moneybagg song Core that they dropped. It was solid. It was pretty good. I don't know if I loved it as much as his other single he dropped in the lead up to this album. But it was solid. Could be one to grow. Again, Offset and Moneybagg. Love that combination. But yeah, it was solid. It was solid. Nothing too crazy. I'm not going to sit up here and be like, it was the greatest song ever. Because it was not the greatest song ever heard. But, it was solid. So, yeah. What else? Oh, VMAs. I guess I have to talk about that because that also happened in entertainment. Certain fandom was really, really upset, and I really don't understand it. I'm not saying all of you were, but a certain fandom was really, really upset, and in the words of Drake, I think you just need to pipe down. I do not know why your feelings are so hurt. It's the VMAs. It's the VMAs. Other people can win. It is what it is. It's an award show. As long as you enjoy the music, ultimately, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I'm sure they're not crying over losing an award. So stop crying. Or just cry me a river, because I really don't care. But, yeah, a certain group was very, very unhappy. A certain group of fans. The group didn't really give a care. But, what else? Nicki got the Video Vanguard. That's always cool. To see who gets that kind of every year. Well deserved for her, because she's done some marvels with her music videos. What else happened? Bad Bunny won Artist of the Year. BTS won Group of the Year. Blackpink up. Fantastic, by the way. That performance of Pink Venom was absolutely fire. Lisa won Best K-pop, so shout out to Lisa. Shout out to my I was so proud. I was so proud. Yeah, they helped steal the show as always. Again, could talk endlessly about them. Fantastic. And yeah, VMAs, saw a show apparently. I didn't watch it in full. Saw bits and pieces, but yeah, looks like it was successful. Some people were upset, but it is what it is. Nobody's going to be happy with any type of award show nowadays. But that was that, and that was entertainment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now to kick it over to soccer. We did have the Champions League draw this past weekend. I've got it pulled up right here on my phone, which is probably the reason why I did this, because, I just knew I was going to have to make that cut that you probably may or may not have recognized. But I was going to have to do that to pull this up. Group A, Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, and Rangers. I'm feeling Ajax is an interesting one, especially with the news that I have to talk about at the end of this after I talk about some of the Prem stuff. That's going to be a very, very interesting to see. Rangers, who knows, maybe they could come up and steal it. I think Liverpool, obviously, probably the favorites to top that group, especially after this week. Group B, Porto, Atletico, Leverkusen, and Club Brugge. I feel like just about anybody can win that group. I'm going to be completely honest. No clue. I feel like that's one of those you could throw dart at in just whatever name, could possibly win. So Group B could be very interesting. Could see some surprises there. Group C is the group of death. It is the group of death, no question about it. I don't know what blood pact Bayern and Barcelona have going on where they have to be in the same group. And I'll talk about somebody else that has another blood pact that seems to be always in the same group. But I don't know what's going on between Bayern and Barca. But once again, they are in the same group. Inter Milan is also in that group, so that's going to be very interesting to see what the dynamics, because somebody out of Bayern, Barca, and Inter cannot make it out of that group. Paisan, I'm so sorry that you ended up in this group, but somebody has to be in the group of death, and unfortunately it was you. However, that will be fun to have those historically legendary teams come to your ends, and that's going to be cool for the fans, cool experience. But unfortunately, you are in the group of death. Group D, another one where it feels like just about anybody could win it. On paper, Tottenham, but it is Spurs. Should win, but like I said, we are talking about Spurs. Lord knows what's going to happen. Frankfurt, Sporting CP, and of course, Marseille is also in Group D. So, once again, similar to Group B in the sense that I feel like a lot of, we could see some things happen there. Group B, we've got Milan and Chelsea. Those two teams have been waiting to play each other for a very, very long time. So that'll be fun. We've also got Red Bull Salzburg and Dynamo Zagreb in that group. Group F, again, another blood pact. I don't know what Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk have where they always have to play each other. Don't know what it is. It's been 3 straight years. Again, I don't know. Similar to Bayern and Barca. Don't know what's going on, some type of blood pact, but once again, they're in the same group. Of course, Shakhtar upset Real Madrid, who ended up winning the Champions League last year. So maybe deja vu again. Leipzig and Celtic are also in this group. Group G, you have the Haaland Derby as Man City and Dortmund are in the same group. You also have Sevilla and Copenhagen. But of course, Dortmund and Man City will of course be getting all of the headlines, as that is going to be very, very interesting and potentially very spicy as Haaland returns to the team that the team that blew him up. He was already a top prospect before he got to Dortmund, but Dortmund did a lot for his development and really kind of providing that kind of stool to put him as a lot of people's eyes the number 2 young player in the world. And finally, here in Group H, we do have the one and only PSG, who are either championship favorites or Champions League chokers. There's no in between with this team. Juventus is also in this group, Benfica and Hafila. So we'll see. They could choke this to Benfica or Juventus. I mean, it's completely possible. Or they can run through. Nobody knows in PSG. The only thing that's for certain is that Neymar will score at this point. PSG all over the place. 1-1 draw with Monaco. Missed opportunities for Messi and Mbappe. It was not their finest game. But again, we'll see if they can figure it out. I kind of believe in God here, but it is what it is. In the Prem, let's talk about some actual games. All right, Liverpool annihilated. We talked about the 7-0s last week. How about the 9-0s this week? All right, Liverpool evaporated Bournemouth. I mean, it was disrespectful. It felt like everybody on the Liverpool team just about got on the scorecard with either a goal or an assist. I think Firmino had a brace, and I think he had a hat-trick of assists. TAA got revenge after, a lot of people were talking reckless about Trent last week. He answered back this week. Harvey Elliott scored a wonder goal. Welcome back, Harvey. Liverpool just exercised some demons against Bournemouth. I don't know what they did, but that was brutal. All right, it was brutal. Probably one of the worst and most lopsided games we will see in the Premier League this year. Liverpool evaporates Bournemouth. Staying in the Prem with the number 2 team in the Prem, Manchester City took on Crystal Palace, and it was looking like we might be talking about Crystal Palace and singing their praises on this episode. But who else besides the machine delivers? Erling Haaland justifies the hype and the price tag as he gets a hat trick in about 15 minutes in the second half to put Man City over the top and get them to win over Crystal Palace. Like I said, Haaland, he's him for a reason. There is a reason why he's the machine. There's a reason why everybody is singing his praises. He is really that good. This is not fiction. The power, the strength, the finishing, all on display against Crystal Palace. And like I said, Haaland, probably the number 2 young player in the world if you still want to qualify Mbappe as a young player. Lua listen, he's going to score wherever he goes. It doesn't really matter. Not that Barca doesn't have a good team around him, so he wouldn't score, but it doesn't matter. Bayern, Barca. He could probably be playing for your listen. He could play for Charlotte FC. He'd probably bag 40 in the Bundesliga if you brought Charlotte FC over to the Bundesliga. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he's going to go. He's going to score goals. One of the greatest goal scorers of his generation had a brace against I don't think it was Villarreal. I forget. I just have Villa in my notes right here. But Lua, brace, Pedri also got on the score sheet and got an assist. I think that's going to be huge for Pedri's development. Him and when Gavin gets back healthy, having Lewandowski, having that veteran presence, and having that striker that can finish off and build off of the creativity of Pedri, I think that might be one of the things that helps take him from top midfield prospect in the world to one of the top midfielders in the world that a lot of people believe Pedri is destined to be. And I think getting Lua and bringing him in and just having somebody like that for him to bounce off of is going to be very, very, very important in his development. So yeah, we're seeing Lua and Pedri get straight to it here early in the La Liga season. And like I said, it appears Antony is headed to Manchester United. Nothing official. We have not gotten that fab here we go yet. But we've gotten very, very close to it. No official announcement. In fact, they'll probably get announced today, knowing me, and me talking about it now. But yeah, it seems like £100 million, which is very, very expensive. We'll see if Antony, who was fantastic at Ajax, by the way, we'll see if he can live up to the hype. Man U has a lot of issues. I don't know if just buying Antony will fix it, but hopefully he lives up to the pressure that will come with being a massive, massive, massive signing for Manchester United that appears he is imminent on being. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the roundup. And yes, that means it's time to talk about racing. I was going to say we were going fast, but the only person that was going fast around Spa felt like Max Verstappen, as to nobody's surprise, in one of, just respectfully, the more boring races we will probably see all year. And in his own words, the most dominant win he's ever had. Max goes from P14 to P1 in I think 4 laps, maybe even less than that, and wins the Belgian Grand Prix to absolutely nobody's surprise. Red Bull is simply better than everybody else. Checo got the P2, Carlos got P3, Leclerc got more pain because Ferrari strategists are god-awful. Just that's the only way to put it. They are god-awful. He might leave. He might leave at this point because it's pitiful. But anyways, Max cruises to a win at Spa. It was never even close. Championship is over. All right, congratulations, Max. Max Verstappen is your 2022 WDC. I know it's not official. I know other people still have a mathematical chance. It's done. All right, it's over. It's a 98-point gap between him and Leclerc. And I'm not even going to mention Checo as a potential championship contender because there's no way in hell Red Bull would have Checo beat Max. But anyways, it's done. Congrats to the WDC. Back-to-back for Max. Daytona. Chaotic as always. And we also had the rain of Florida intervene. A massive crash took out just about half the field. So when we restarted after the 2 or 3 hour delay on Sunday, after it got postponed from Saturday night, we had about 6 cars that had no damage and were viable options, and some of those didn't have the engine power to do it, so we really had about 3 options of who was going to win this race, and yeah, Austin Dillon got it done. So Martin Truex Jr., unfortunately, misses out on the playoffs, and Ryan Blaney sneaks himself in. MTJ, the damage just caught up to him. He got passed by those cars. It was such a sad situation. It was honestly such a sad situation. But yeah, Truex gets axed out. We had 16 different winners. Honestly, if Kurt didn't have to drop out, we would have had we would have had full. We would have been at max capacity. 1 winner and all of them would have made it into the chase and that would have been it. But unfortunately, Kurt had to drop, opened up 2 spaces. Blaney, it looked like he wasn't going to be in for a second there, but by the grace of God, was able to get back, and they somehow got that car back on track. Truex just didn't have enough at the end, got passed, and of course, Dillon was able to prevail even after the delay and get the win at Daytona. He's got to be one of the luckiest drivers alive. Also, shout out to Tyler Reddick for the professionalism, because after everything that's going on with him and RCR, he very much so did not have to do what he did, even though Pop would have probably parked him for the rest of the year if he'd have taken that win away from Austin. But respect to Tyler for staying professional and giving his teammate the win, or at least his teammate for the season. What else? Pain and agony for Bubba, because if he had not lost grip, and of course we've got that controversy. Now, I didn't see, apparently there's varying reports. On the car camera that we saw, there was no rain until it happened, and then they called it, but then the crash happened. Some are saying that there was one, rain a lot before. There's varying reports. All right, I'm not really going to fault NASCAR. It is what it is. Unfortunately, it happened. That was the crash that took out everybody. It is what it is. It happened, but oh my goodness, if the Bubba just had a little bit more grip. He was so unlucky. He was just like a car away from winning this thing. If he keeps grip and he does not spin out in that crash, he stays ahead of Austin, he possibly wins this race. So close. So close. Austin Dillon wins a rain-soaked Daytona, and now we head to the playoffs. Say what you want about the format. Say what you want about having Daytona as the last race, but it was very entertaining. Chaotic, controversial, but also very entertaining. Tour Championship, Rory McIlroy is him. Do not forget it. Rory caps off one of the better years of his career, if I say so myself, by winning his third Tour Championship with a 21 over Sungjae Im and Scotty Scheffler, who were 20 under. Rory did not start off the weekend well, but boy oh boy did Rory close. If he's not, I think he should be the number 1 player in the world right now, because I do not know anybody playing better golf right now than Rory McIlroy, and is evidenced by him picking up the Tour Championship. But Rory closes out winning golf's last major event of the season. So congrats to Rory. You are him. Absolute legend. And it's been a very, very interesting year for McIlroy. And of course, like I said at the beginning, college football is back in a big way coming this weekend. Of course, we'll talk about the game on Friday. We will actually talk about it even if we somehow manage to lose to William & Mary. And of course, we've got a plethora of big opening weekend games in the world of college football on Friday, Saturday, and even some on Thursday. But of course, we had week 0 this week. Nebraska, and I think, who was it? Was it Northwestern that were in Ireland? And Nebraska is still Nebraska. I do not think Scott Frost is making it through the regular season. And that is all I will say about that. I am so sorry, Cornhusker fans. At least you got free beer if you did travel, and boy oh boy does Nebraska fans travel. But at least you got free beer because, the internet cut off, and that's a ding and doubling. Maybe that should bring that to the States. Who knows? But Nebraska, more paid. I don't need to say the score. You know what happened. Scott Frost isn't making it through the regular season. But, like I said, not the longest episode, which is, sometimes we don't always have to have these mega episodes. But I hope you guys enjoyed. There was still plenty to talk about. And, of course, we've got a massive episode with football being back next week. And like I said at the beginning, shout out to SBJ. Huge privilege to be kind of get the honor of being in that magazine, in that publication. So you guys go check out the website, go check out my parts and my interview, and also go check out the rest of my fellows. They've been great friends, and they've been great, and you can hear about our experiences as interns at these different locations in Charlotte. But without further ado, for episode 108, Ocho, signing off.